I'm Rob O'Halloran. I'm John O'Halloran's son. I'm part of the organising committee for the John O'Halloran Symposium. My dad was a great guy. He was a family man. So he was married to my mum Linda for well over 30 years, and they had a very happy marriage. My sister Lucy and I grew up in a very warm, happy home environment, and I think that very strong family ethos came through even more when he became a grandfather to Lucy's 2 children. He was a very, very active and playful grandfather, a role that he really relished. So the family side of his personality was really, for me, the defining characteristic of him. I think one of the things maybe the outside world didn't see of my dad was the fact that for many years he suffered from depression. There was perhaps a taboo around the subject, and I think he was probably of a generation that just didn't really talk about mental health as an issue. But I don't think he really confronted it or spoke about it as an issue. I think the one thing that did support him over the years was my mum. They had a very strong relationship, and she was someone who was very upbeat, very outgoing, a very, very positive personality. And this seemed to really elevate and lift my dad during some of these difficult periods. I think the thing that really changed for my dad was the very, very sad death of my mum at a very young age. She was just 58. She died from breast cancer, and what changed was that pillar of support, that real bastion for him, someone who kept him going during those difficult periods, elevated him when he was going through a cycle of depression. After Mum's death, he was actually relatively stable, I would say, and at a point several months after her death, I think he determined to try and live life to the full. I think, as ever was the case with Dad, he had a slight process of decline into a period of depression, and really what was different this time around was there was no supporting figure in place of my mum to really help him out of that. And both my sister and I were aware of this. We were extremely concerned about this as we saw his mental state actually decline over a period of time. We very much encouraged him, supported him. He sought medical help, which I think for a time helped him. But over a number of months, you could see the decline. He was very good at putting a brave face on something, so the way he presented himself was very, very effective. So to friends and wider family, he just seemed to be John, and he had an image of someone who was very strong, who was very independent, who knew his own mind. And actually what I think many people didn't see was the sort of behind the scenes John. To the outside world, it wasn't noticed, it wasn't picked up, which I think made the shock of his suicide even more impactful. I think over the course of a lifetime, he really developed a very public-private personality, and the private personality we saw at times at home, but even then it was quite difficult to reach him when he was going through a period of depression. And I think he probably felt that being honest about these issues, talking about his mental state or talking about depression and giving it a name would somehow reveal or expose him and show weakness. I think he felt that he needed to be a rock on which the family was based, and by talking about mental health, feeling low, feeling down, it somehow undermined that rock-like position. For me, the importance of the symposium working with LionHeart is to achieve some practical and hard and fast outcomes. I think it's great that we can talk about mental health. I think it's important to talk about it as a significant health issue, talk about it as a significant policy issue, but I'm quite a practical person, and it's really good to see some hard and fast practical outcomes achieved, and I think that is really the beauty of the partnership that is now in place between the Symposium and LionHeart.